All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATP Hour, ATP Live Monday. Gbemisola Boyede, and it's my pleasure to be here. We were not here last week. It was Easter Monday, and I hope you had a wonderful holiday like I did. So, welcome to ATP Live Monday, and welcome to a brand new month of April. Yesterday was the World Health Day. We were talking about your health is your right. So it's good to be back here. But this time around, talking about the health of our children. So welcome everyone, whether you're on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, whichever platform you're watching on, you're welcome. Do me a favor by helping me to share the link to everyone else so that we can all learn and ask our questions. So I'm also going to do the same. So just help us to share the link, the video, to any platform you're allowed to. So share, and I'll also try and share to our Facebook groups and pages. So making sure that everybody can see and they can hear. So just give me a couple of minutes while I do the sharing, and in the interim, feel free to ask your questions. You can start to drop your questions in the comment section where you're watching on. If you're watching on our page or you're watching on our Instagram or you're watching on our YouTube channel, you can actually just drop your comments, your question as a comment straight under the post you're watching on. But if you're watching on any of the Facebook groups, you have to click on the video itself so that you'll be able to drop your question directly under the video. If not, I won't be able to see your question. I will only see those that are dropped on the page for Facebook. So, but for Instagram, YouTube, you're okay to drop your question directly. And please, when you're asking your questions, please start with the age of the child. Please write the age in full. Don't just say 1, 2. It doesn't really make much meaning. You have to tell whether it's 1 month or 1 year or 2 weeks. It's very important to write it in full. All right, that's very important. And please try and be short. Try and keep your information very short, so that if it's too long, Facebook is going to cut it off and I won't see the rest of it. So try and keep it concise. Just go straight to the question and provide only relevant information to the question. So make sure you ask a question. If you don't ask a question, I won't know what you want me to do with the information. I know some of these things sound very obvious, but some of us do that. People just put information and have no idea what they want me to do with that information. All right, so I think I'm done with all the sharing. Just let me make sure they are all pinned, and then we can start. So feel free to start to drop your questions now, and then we are able to. So we just have an hour, 60 minutes to do all the Q&As. But if you have questions beyond the live session, or maybe you are watching a recording, like we are no longer live, if you're watching anytime after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. on a Monday, then most likely you're watching the recording of the live session. So if you have questions, feel free, or your question has not been answered, feel free to go to our Facebook group, Ask the Paediatrician's Facebook group. You can miss it on Facebook, and you are welcome to drop your questions there Monday to Saturdays, and we'll be there to answer your questions within reasonable time. Usually we say between 48 to 72 hours. Obviously, we know that if it's something that's an emergency, please go to the hospital and don't just drop it there. Anything that's an emergency is an hospital scenario. But if it is just regular questions, ex education kind of questions, you're welcome to drop your questions and we'll be able to answer it. Okay, I guess I've done all my sharing. I just 1 more minute. And I think I've done all my pinning. Okay, one more pinning. And then we can start to answer the questions. All right, guys, I'm done now. Okay, Instagram, welcome. I can see you all. Welcome, welcome. All right, so let me welcome everyone once again. Welcome to Atp Live Monday. I am Gbemisola Boyede. I guess you can see my name for those who can see. Welcome to Atp Live Monday. This program is brought to you by Atp Pediatrician's Foundation. And at ATP, we're committed to the health and welfare of all children globally, but especially in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa, where a lot of our children dies from preventable conditions. And we do that through health education, information online, and we also do community medical outreaches to schools, to indigent communities with very limited access to pediatricians. So ATP Live Monday is one of our programs, it's one of our outreaches, whereby we give you opportunity to ask any questions that has to do with the health of your children in 1 hour, and we'll answer you live. But if you have more questions beyond this 1 hour session, you are welcome to join our Facebook group, Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group, and you can ask your questions there. If you want to read about health issues of children, you can check our website. You can also watch videos on our YouTube channels. So we have loads of resources to help you, raise your children in a healthy fashion. So thank you so much for joining me today. So if you have any questions, please start to drop your questions so that we have time to answer them all before our time is up. Start with the age of the child, tell us a short summary, and ask a very specific question. All right, I can't see any question on Instagram yet, so I'll answer the question. I have a question on Facebook, and that is by Homoke Abigail. Please, from how many months does newborn start gaining noticeable weight? Okay, so babies gain weight from day one. It is not a month thing. It is from we expect babies to start gaining weight every day. So we expect a newborn baby that is a term baby to gain about 30 grams a day. So whenever you go to the hospital, we're always measuring the weight of the babies. So we weigh them all the time because we expect them to be gaining weight. Usually when babies are born, sometimes they may lose weight first in the first 2 weeks of first 10 days, we say. But by the time they're about 2 weeks old, we expect them to have regained their birth weight. So most babies are born weighing between 2.5 and 3.5 kilos, and they may lose about 10% of that in the first 10 days because of the loss of water. They're still getting used to breastfeeding and all that. But by the time they're about 2 weeks, they should have gone back to their birth weight, and after that, they should be gaining weight daily. And on average, a term baby, that is babies born at 37 weeks and above, should be gaining 30 grams a day. And a preterm baby, that is baby born before 37 completed weeks, usually gain about 20 grams a day. So we have that kind of scale that we're actually measuring the weights in grams, and we're able to see the difference. So we're not waiting months. And every time you go to the hospital for immunization at 6 weeks, at 10 weeks, at 14 weeks, at 9 months or 15 months, we expect that your baby should be weighed, and they should be able to tell you and plot that weight on a graph to see that the weight is going up. That weight must always be pointing up. It must never be on the flat line, which means it is static, and it must never be coming down. So if the weight is on a straight line or is coming down, then that is a red flag, and that child needs to see a pediatrician. So what we rely on is the weight of the child. We don't rely on how the mothers always like to say, my baby looks chubby, my baby looks this or that. The most objective thing is the weight when you put the baby on the scale, not how the baby look. And like I said, your baby is not gaining weight well, every time they are weighing their weight at the hospital, then you've got to see a pediatrician, because that is a red flag. And weight is one of the important things for us as pediatrician. We are very, very passionate about the weight, because whenever a child is gaining weight, we know that most likely all is well, and or whatever challenges come across that baby, the child has his own ability to fight them. But a child who is losing weight, who is malnourished, who is failing to thrive, is even at serious risk of other problems. So I hope that is helpful, Abigail. If you need clarification, you can ask. All right, I got a question on Instagram, Ms. Chimare. Good evening. My son is 2 years and 6 months. He's having difficulty breathing. Wow, but I can't take him to the hospital because we don't have a health card. I'm sorry, but a child who is having difficulty in breathing is an emergency. That child has to go to the hospital. You don't need to have an health card or anything for an emergency. I guess no matter, I'm not sure which country you are, but no matter which country you are, if it's an emergency, doctors by law, we have to attend to any child with an emergency. We can always deal with the finance and all that later, but that child has to see a doctor. Breathing, there are some cases, if you come to our Facebook group, I classify them as when not to ask questions online. There are cases that is not even something you ask questions. There are cases that you have to go to the hospital. We call them emergency cases. So, and the first three things they have, we classify them by what we call ABC. Anything that has to do with the airway of the child, anything blocking the child's airway, it's an emergency. That child has to be in the hospital. Anything that affects breathing, that B stands for breathing, that child has to go to the hospital. Anything that affects circulation, the child is collapsing, the child is in shock, that child has to go to the hospital. Or the child is bleeding excessively, or or the child has a major fall, or the child is convulsing, or the child is unconscious. Those kind of scenarios, they are non-negotiable kind of situation. Like, it's not like what should I do, what should I not do. They are straight to the hospital, because we are talking of emergencies. We are talking of, when we say something is an emergency, something has to be done within the next few minutes to an hour, or else we may lose the child. So it is an emergency. Anything with breathing is an emergency. The child has to go to the hospital. So please go to the hospital, go to the emergency room, and then they will at least triage and look at the child and then tell you what to do. Emergencies will always be administered, first. If they now need for you to do other payment before they can do other things, then they will let you know. But at least they will always save life first. So please, you have to take that child to the hospital. It's very important. I'm definitely worried about it. So who's having breathing difficulties. I don't know what is causing the breathing difficulties, but we definitely want that child to go to the hospital and be seen. All right, thank you. Let's go back to Facebook. I got a question from Choice Firstborn. Good evening, my seats. Good to deworm a baby of 6 months. The answer is no. We usually don't deworm at 6 months. Usually we deworm at 1 year. Okay, there are reasons for all these recommendations. Usually a 6-month-old baby has been with you in the house, hopefully on exclusive breastfeeding. So that baby ideally should not have been exposed to worms, because you get all these worms either from food or from water, or when children start to crawl or walk around from the soil. And so those are the sources of, when they take fruits on wash stands and stuff, that is how they get exposed to worms. So typically we don't expect a 6-month-old to have been exposed to worms. So most 6-month-old are on their mother's breast milk, and ideally you should not pass worms to your babies via breast milk. That is number one. So number two, we usually recommend the worming only for babies in what we call worm endemic area, places where there's a lot of worm infestation. Nigeria, Africa generally will fall into that category, and then we recommend from the age of 1 year. But notwithstanding, if a child has signs of worm infestation or the child passed out worms, at any age we would treat that. But otherwise, a child who is well, who is doing well, no problem. We don't routinely would deworm them until they are 1 year old, and even then we deworm them every 6 months. So I know some others do it every 3 months. It should be every 6 months. And there are worm expellers available in the pharmacy. You don't need a prescription for worm expellers. You can go buy it by yourself. So from age of 1 year and every 6 months, that's what we recommend. Nothing now for the worming. All right. Abigail is say, from how many weeks will newborn baby stop pooing every day? Okay, Abigail, I guess you are a first-time mom. You must be a new mom as well. Okay, congratulations. I have lots of resources for first-time moms. So if you check first-time mom company, it will be nice for you. I'll frequently ask questions. You would like to go through that. So newborn babies may pass stool every day. They can pass stool up to 8 to 12 times a day, and that is fine. It's normal for them, and they don't have to stop pooing every day. However, there are some babies that don't also pass stools every day at all. They may not pass stools for up to 2 weeks. Babies on exclusive breastfeeding, and that is also perfectly normal. So every baby decide which one they like, and all of that is still normal. So what we recommend, just make sure baby is on breast milk only, and for the first 6 months. And the frequency of the stool is not the problem. What we worry about is the texture. So as long as the stool is like what we call like a goosey kind of stool, like a little bit of solid mixed with a little bit of liquid, that is fine. What we don't want is completely like liquid stool, like urine, and it's sinking completely into the diapers. That's what we worry about. So but babies on exclusive breastfeeding, they can pass stools every day, up to 12 times a day. With every breastfeeding episode, they can pass stool, or they may not pass at all for up to 2 weeks, and that is also perfectly normal. And the baby will be fine, not vomiting, their tummy is not distended, they are otherwise well. So those are the range, and we can never say this is what is going to happen. That is what will happen as long as they're on breast milk. Then when they're on solid, it may change a little bit, but I've told you what worries us is either when the stools are watery or when they are too hard. We don't worry about the frequency, we worry more about the texture of the stool, because that is what tells us whether there's a problem or not. I hope that's helpful. Let's go back to Instagram. I always have to check Instagram because Instagram questions can disappear quickly, but I can't see any question on Instagram. So feel free to drop your questions so that we can answer them. All right. Let's go back to Facebook. Juliet is saying, my child will be 4 years by May. She usually runs fever every month. Every month. Okay, there's nothing normal about a child having fever every month. So you treat malaria every 20 days. That's really not appropriate. So you shouldn't be just treating the child. If your child is having fever, we need to know why. Why is this child having fever? And if really a child who is having fever every month, it is definitely not normal. Unless you are living in a place where mosquitoes they are there 24/7, 365 days a year. I don't expect your baby to be having malaria every month. So there may be something going on. I don't know whether you've been to the hospitals, whether your child has been investigated. So there are many causes of fever beyond malaria. I need to say that a lot to our Nigerian audience, because we always think every fever is malaria. In fact, people tend to use the word malaria fever as if malaria and fever are synonymous. They are not. Fever just means the child's body is hot, but there are many reasons why a child's body could be hot. Of course, malaria is one of them, but there are other causes, from infections even to some rare causes, even things like cancers and stuff like that. So we don't expect you to be treating your child for malaria every month. We want to know why is the child having fever every month. It is definitely not normal. So please, you have to go see a pediatrician. They have to test the child. They have to do proper evaluation of the child, and then they can know what is causing the recurrent fever, and then they can address it. And if it's something that is preventable, they can tell you these are the things you need to do to prevent this recurrent fever. So it is definitely not normal for you. You shouldn't be treating malaria every 1 month. No, that is not normal at all. So you definitely need to see a pediatrician about that so that we can take it up from there. All right, let me quickly take a few questions on Instagram. Somebody saying, what causes black spots on baby's tongue? Babies are not supposed to have black spots on their tongue. So if your baby has a black spot on their tongue, for clean it. Get a clean clothes, a clean with water, maybe a face towel or something, and just wipe it off and see whether it will wipe off easily, and that's it. If it's not wiping off easily, then you need to see a doctor. We need to know why. We want to know whether there's something going on, like some fungal infection can give you black spot, but most times really it is not something that we expect a baby to have black spots on their tongue. And you be very specific with the age of the child, specific what is the child eating, and specific what other things go into the mouth of the child. Some children put things in their mouth. They can put ink in their mouth, virus also, because you've not told us the age of this child. So sometimes some of these things are as simple as just thinking of what happens, and there may not be anything medical. But if it's something medical, then we have to now investigate that. And you said that what makes a 6-week-old baby to suddenly stop sleeping during the day? There's no reason why. It's not a law that a baby must sleep during the day. So babies sleep a lot. At 6 weeks, we expect them to sleep up to 12 hours, 16 hours a day. But it doesn't mean they always have to sleep during the day. What matters for us is how many hours altogether is the baby sleeping. That's most important thing. Number 2, make sure you are feeding the child properly. Make sure that there are nothing discomforting the child. Wet nappies, very hot, very cold environment, so many things that could make a child uncomfortable can affect their sleep. So otherwise, as long as the child is getting up to 12 to 16 hours of sleep total in 24-hour period, that is still okay for a 6-week-old. And if you just make sure that your baby is feeding well, make sure the baby is well attached to the breast, sucking the breast and empty it, and not just sucking on the nipples. So those are things that could affect the 6-week-old sleep. Just check that. Somebody is asking, official Dora, my baby at 1 year bet a lot. I hope it's normal. Well, it depends on what you're feeding your child with. If you're giving the child a lot of food that generates a lot of gas, definitely the child is going to have a lot of gas. If your child is still sucking on bottle, and sucking, and most of them they will keep sucking on even the empty bottle, which means that they're taking a lot of hair, while breast, so that may also cause that. So belching basically means the child is expelling excess hair. The question is, what is causing that excess hair? Is it the child is breathing it in, or sucking it in while taking feed, or is the child eating food that are generating a lot of gas, like some of like people, when you eat beans, for example, you will fat a lot. So the same scenario. So for your 1-year-old, please don't feed with bottle. Your 1-year-old should be using spoon and cup to feed, no bottle feeding. Okay, and make sure you're giving variety of food, not just milk and cereals, which is what sometimes some of us do, and that can also lead to a lot of all this scenario. So make sure your child is eating variety of food, solids, complementary feeding, and of course you keep breastfeeding as well. So those are the things that I would just recommend start. But if there's more, or you think it's really excessive and you're doing every right thing, then you may want to see a pediatrician just for further evaluation. All right, let me take a break from Instagram, come back to Facebook. Lucy is asking, my son of 15-month-old do vomit very well. What do you mean vomit very well? Whenever he's vomiting, it come out from the nose. Do you mean the child vomits often? Because I will not use the word well for something that is not right. We don't expect a 15-month-old to be vomiting. So there's nothing well about the child vomiting very well. The child should not be vomiting. And so what I really want to know is, how often is this child vomiting in a day? Like, is it with every feed? Does it have to do with a particular time of the day? What is the child vomiting? Is it the food that the child has eaten? How often? Is it every day? How long has this been going on? So these are the kind of questions I'm going to be asking, because definitely your 15-month-old should not be vomiting at all. So if a 15-month-old is vomiting and it's happening frequently, irrespective of what time of the day or the food, whatever. We need to know why. And there are many possible causes of vomiting. In fact, vomiting is one of those symptom that you can have in virtually any condition, any illness. So you will have to see a pediatrician because they need to know why. Because you can say now, even without seeing your baby, I've asked like almost 5 or 6 questions. Those are the first thing we want to ask first. So there are loads of questions we will need to ask, and then examine the child to know why is the child vomiting, and then we can, and obviously for this child to be vomiting and it's coming out from the nose, coming out from the mouth, that is a very forceful vomiting, and that is not okay at all. And we really need to take that seriously, because you've not given us information now. Is this something new? Is this something that been happening for long? We need that context. We need to know the context of this vomiting. How long ago did it start? Anything around it? Any other symptoms with it? So we need to ask you all these questions, Lucy, and then we'll be able to. But I think the first thing I'll recommend is that you just have to see one of my colleagues in the hospital so that they can do proper evaluation to know the cause of the vomiting. All right, Adekweju Akinyemi Deborah, we're currently battling boys, okay? We have used antibiotics, but the boys still keep coming out, 5-year-old, 2-year-old. So if something is happening to more than one child in the family, then it is environmental. It has to do with something you are doing in the house, so, and you also are having the boys as well. So there's something you guys are doing in the house. So I would rather say you pay attention to the hygiene. Hand washing. You need to all wash your hands often. Make sure your surfaces, they are disinfected. Make sure you clean properly. Make sure children have their bath, first thing, preferably twice a day. Make sure, you may want to make sure you do a thorough cleaning of all the chairs and surfaces that the children come in contact with. Clothes are washed, iron, dry properly, because these are from bacterial infection. So you have to look in, because if all 3 people in the family are having bugs, then you are all getting exposed to these germs, and the question is how. So you may want to put like antiseptics or like a mild antiseptic soap to use for your bath for the next 1 or 2 weeks. You just need to make sure you get rid of whatever you guys are having contact with. Make sure your rooms are well ventilated. Especially in Nigeria, because we have this hot, humid environment. The bacteria, they love that environment, and they tend to germinate a lot, and in such environment. So you need to pay more attention to hygiene. Make sure the rooms are well ventilated. Make sure everywhere is clean. Use disinfectant to wipe your floors, everything, and of course, even your hand washing very frequently and all that. I discourage children from touching their hands and faces all the time with their hands, or when they've gone out, before they do anything, they must wash their hands. All those basic things we normally recommend. So it's not enough to be taking antibiotics. It's more important to prevent recurrence. So I think that's what you need to do, because obviously it is not something that is only with you. I mean, it has to do with the environment, because all 3 people in the family are having it, so it must be environmental. Okay, on Instagram, official Drunara, I've answered your question. I hope you've seen I answered your question already, because you asked it again. So if you mixed out and you're just back in, you may have to wait and watch the video all over again, but I can assure you that I answered your question already. Amadi Ngozi Chukwu, please, can I feed my 7-month-old homemade food like beans, rice? Yes, of course. I worried about that question, because this is also what I worried about a lot. Many of our mothers, we don't understand complementary feeding, because this question obviously shows lack of understanding of what complementary feeding is. Complementary feeding is actually giving your children homemade food in addition to breast milk, and you should start from 6 months. So yes, your 7-month-old can take beans, can take rice. Your 7-month-old can eat everything in your kitchen. Okay, the difference is what we feed at 6 months, at 1 year, is the texture. Obviously, when you're feeding the younger babies, you tend to make it very soft, porridge or mushy like kind of texture, compared to by the time they are really like 1 or 2, of course they can take the full solid, so but they can eat everything that you eat. Okay, so that's very important. And you really, Amadi, you need to go to our Facebook group, or even on this our page, you go to the video section. You need to watch all the complimentary videos. There are a lot of them. There are about 6. So we talk about how do you feed your child at 6 months, at 1 year, at 2, how often do you feed them, what quantity. You really need to watch all those videos, because if you don't know the right thing to do, then that may explain why the child is not gaining weight, because the child is not being properly fed. Okay, so your baby was 3.5, your baby should be weighing like 7 kilos now at 7 months, and not weighing 5.5. But though this issue must have been how you were feeding the baby before now, were you exclusively breastfeeding your baby and all that? Are there other health issues with the baby? Because it's not just all about food. So there may be health issues, there may be other things as well. But from what you're asking me now, I'm not sure whether you've even been doing the food properly. So we expect that from the first 6 months, it should be breast milk only. After 6 months, keep breastfeeding and add other food from your kitchen, okay? But I really want you to understand the quantity, the frequency, the texture, and all that. So I'll recommend you go through our Facebook page, the videos on complementary feeding, or you go to our groups. We have a guide section of complementary feeding. I want you to go through it first and start doing all the right thing with respect to the feeding. And you must go weigh your baby every week. You must weigh this baby every week. And so let's see that the baby is gaining weight. Baby is not gaining weight despite doing all the right feeding. Then you have to see us, because we have to look for other reasons why this baby is not thriving, because there are babies that have other health issues. You also, if you prefer listening, you can also go through my podcast, Ask Dr. Gbemisola podcast. There's a lot of podcasts, how you feel your baby in the first 1,000 days, when babies are not growing, what to do and all that. You may also want to go through that. Definitely this baby, we have to be seen. Somebody has to say your baby. A pediatrician has to say, baby, your baby has only gained 2 kilos in 6-7 months. I am worried about that baby. So I know you need to feed properly, but I also want to make sure a doctor check your baby to make sure there's no other health issues that can explain the baby's what we will call failure to thrive. The fact that the baby is not gaining weight well. So please take it as something urgent, and I really want you to check it up with your doctors. Maggie, I hope you got that. It's very important. If you like, you can give us a feedback on our Facebook group. I'll be interested in that. Okay, Odudele Feisha, your baby, is it normal for a 4-month-old to draw saliva? Yes, it is okay for babies to draw saliva at that age. So we're not worried, but we'll worry about if it is too excessive, like you have to be changing your bibs every 1 hour. It is always soaked. I mean, most of us know most babies will bring out saliva. All of us know that. But there's a level that your baby is always soaked in saliva, that you yourself know that this is way above, normal. So anyway, if you are not sure, maybe your first time mom, if you need to be changing your baby's bib like every hour and it is soaking wet, then that will be excessive drooling. But otherwise, most babies will bring out saliva. It's really around by the time they're about 5 to 7 months when they begin to bring out their teeth. They also bring out lots more saliva at that age as well, and that is perfectly normal. Nothing to worry about. All right, Instagram people, please ask your question. I'm checking intermittently to make sure I've not missed out any of you. Okay, Lucy, thank you. Choice firstborn. How can I add egg to my baby's pap? Okay, is it by pouring the raw egg inside the pap? So the way to, if you want to give your baby egg with the pap, you want to make what we call a fortified pap. You break it into the raw pap and then cook the pap on fire. Okay, so that's how to do it. You break the egg, the cold pap, the one that is not yet cooked, you mix it together and then you cook it on fire, and it must be cooked, thoroughly cooked. Please don't give children raw egg. The egg has to be cooked with the pap. Okay, then you can now add your 1 spoon of palm oil and you stir it into it. You can pass a little bit of sugar to taste, or you can use any of your formula, to add to it as a milk. You don't need to cook that one on fire. You just add it to the when you've brought it down from the fire, and then you stir it, and that's how to give it. Okay, that's one way of doing it. You didn't tell us the age of your baby. I don't know whether you've told me the age of your baby before. But if your baby is okay, you are the one that said your baby is 15 months old. I hope I hope you're not giving raw pap before, and that's why your baby is vomiting. No, please don't give raw pipe to a baby. Or you're not the one. No, you're not the one. Sorry, you are the one that asked about your 6-month-old baby. Yeah, so for your 6-month-old baby, yes, you can mix the pap and the egg together before you cook it. All right, but usually by the time children are about 9 months or older than 9 months, you can actually boil the egg and give them, because at that age they can do what we call finger feeding. They can hold the egg in their hands and eat it, or you can cut it into tiny pieces and they can eat it directly. So you don't need to cook it into the pap. They can just eat it on its own, boiled egg. They can eat it on their own. But for 6 months old, yes, you have to cook it into the pap. I hope that makes sense. All right. Let me check Instagram people. Sorry for that. All right. Okay, let's go on. Ejirogene Charles. Good evening, Doc. My daughter is 1 month old and she's got rashes on her skin. I currently use the towel in a water with Kusum soap. Distributor. Okay, please, you are doing everything wrong. All right, you are doing everything that the dermatologists don't want you to do. We don't want you to use the Dettol in your baby's bath soap. One, we don't want you to. The Kusum, it depends. Some babies are very sensitive to Kusum and you can react to it. But now you are using 3 things, so I'm not sure which of them your baby may be reacting to. But first, let's stop the Dettol in the bath water. Let's stop the Tributon. It is not a baby cream. It's not a body cream. Stop all that. So what you need to do is to use normal water. Use normal bath soap. You can still use your Kusum for now. Let's hope your baby is not reacting to it. And then just use your normal baby cream, like something natural, something like Vaseline, Blue Seal without perfume, or olive oil, or coconut oil, or shea butter. Those are things that don't have any perfume in them, and children are fine with that. Please don't use Tributon as a body cream for your baby. It's a drug, it's a medication. So do that first. If you want to learn more about how to do your baby's skin care, we have an article on our website on skincare for babies taken by dermatologists, or you can also read it on our Facebook group as well. So make sure you're doing the right thing first. So if you're doing the right thing first, because there are many reasons why a child can have rashes. It could be the child is reacting to all these things that you are using on the child's skin. So the first thing for us is to eliminate all that. Make sure the child is also not overcovered, because each rash is also a possibility. Make sure the child's room is well ventilated and all that. So that's another thing. And so if you're doing all that and the rashes persist, then you need to see us so we can have a look to know, is this child having infection, any, fungal infection, bacterial infection, whatever, so we can treat. Or better still, you can take a picture of the rash and post it on our Facebook group, because when we have a look at the rashes, we can always tell you what we think and what we recommend. But first, make sure you're doing the right thing. Most of the rashes in babies, they are due to babies have very sensitive skin. And when we use all these products, all these chemicals on their skin, they are going to have rashes from them, so they react to them. And some of us also use powder. Please don't also use powder, because if you didn't mention that, but just in case you're also doing that, please stop it as well. So your baby's skin just needs to be moisturized, and moisturized with preferably things that are natural, things that don't have chemicals in them. So olive oil, shea butter, Vaseline, Blue Seal, good. Most of these so-called nice smelling products that people give us as baby body cream and all that, and oil and everything, most of them are loaded with chemicals. I hope you're also not putting too much oil on the head, dripping down the face. It can also cause rashes. So just go through our articles, stop all the wrong things, and then post a picture of the rashes so that we can also give you advice and then see whether it will resolve. If that didn't work, if it's an infection, the child may need treatment, which a doctor has to prescribe. But the first thing is to make sure you're actually doing the right thing as far as skincare is concerned. All right. You're also asking when is it okay to introduce water to a baby when the baby is 6 months old. So for the first 6 months, no water, no agbo, no pap. no formula, just breast milk only. Breast milk has 70% water, clean, sterile water, not the one that we are not sure where you are getting it from. So there's no need to add water to breast milk. So give breast milk only for the first 6 months. Please don't fall to the pressure of the grandmothers. They'll say, oh, baby is eating, baby must drink water. Just tell them that the food and the water has been combined together in breast milk, so the baby does not need to take any extra water. And if you want to prove it, just take a let your wife express breast milk. I'm not sure whether it's a girl or a woman asking me a question. So express your breast milk, keep it in a clear bottle or something, maybe for overnight, and then you will see the demarcation, the milk part residue will settle, and you will see that more than 2/3 of it is just water. So there's really no need to give water, just breast milk only. I like to emphasize it because I know a lot of my grandmothers, they like to to force or pressure my new parents to give water. Please, I've given you all the answers to give to them why you don't need to give your baby water, just breast milk only. All right, Gaji Blessing is asking, what else can you do for a 2-year-old who is very picky? Okay, what have you done? Because you've not told us what you've done. Because you say, what else can you do? I would like to know what you have done already first. Okay, sometimes you eat well, sometimes it doesn't. Say eat struggle, blah, blah, even though it's the same food you love to eat earlier. Yeah, some children, some toddlers can be picky, and that is just who they are. So for us as pediatricians, we don't stress over everything. We tend to pick our battles. So the first thing I want to know, what is the weight of this child? Is baby gaining weight well? Is baby losing weight? If the child is gaining weight well and no other issues, that's fine. Okay, I know mothers want them to always finish the plate, clean the plates and all that. We don't really worry so much about that, and we don't worry so much if the child wants to eat only one food or morning, afternoon and night. It's also fine, as long as the child is gaining weight and the child is having vitamins and all that. Okay, so we check that. If the child is eating fruits and veggies, good. If the child is not eating and the child is very picky, sometimes we just give them multivitamins. I mean, what else can we do? So that's what we do. So there are a lot of tips for picky eaters, but that's why I'm asking what you have done already. If you want to check it out, it's available on our website, available on our Facebook group. But key thing is acceptance. Don't pressure, because the more you try to force them to eat, the more they become resistant, and it is a battle of wills, and trust me, you cannot equate the will of a 2-year-old who does not want to eat. No matter what, if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. So if you try to force them, they become more and more resistant, and they are trying to prove to you that they are autonomous, and you're not going to win that battle. So what I normally tell parents, for us pediatricians, as long as the child's weight is fine, if they want to eat only one food morning, afternoon and night, it's okay. And as long as they don't have any other health issues, we just leave them. The truth of the matter is they're going to change again and they will start eating later. So there's no need for you to give yourself headaches for now. So just give them what they like. You may want to give them frequent food. So instead of giving them only 3 meals a day, like most of us will do, you can give them food 6, 7, 8 times a day if they want. Just make sure that they are eating something. Give them healthy snacks. Don't give them junk food as a replacement of food. Don't give them teas and cocoa drinks and stuff like that, because juice, then their tummy is full of liquid, then they're not going to eat. So then make sure that there are no junk replacements. Make sure they are really healthy fruits or snacks option, and then whatever they like to eat, it's okay to give them every day. And then just try and sneak in a little bit. Sometimes, if you give smoothies, for example, if they like to drink something, you can make smoothies and you sneak in the fruits into the milk and they won't even know and all that. Like I said, they're not taking fruits and veggies, you can give them multivitamins and all that. The most important thing is that they have healthy weight and they have their vitamins and they are not unhealthy. If they are losing weight and they are also picky, then you have to see us. That is when we have to find another way. The dietitians have other ways. Sometimes we may have to give you other things to add to their food, like Paediatrician and stuff like that. So the pediatricians will come in if the child is losing weight and they're also picky eaters. But if they're eating enough to maintain a healthy weight, we learn to live with it and wait for them to change and not get ourselves unnecessarily anxious about that. I know parents want quick fix, but we don't really have that. Okay, let me quickly go to Instagram. Ibukoluwa Farayola, my 1-year-old tiptoes, okay? Not standing, not walking independently. He says something to correct the tiptoe. It is normal for baby to walk on their tiptoes when they are just about to start walking. So your baby is not yet even walking, so it is perfectly fine. And so if your child is not walking by 18 months, please see us. We are more worried about the walking rather than the tiptoe. So see us if the child is not walking at 18 months. And if the child is still tiptoeing by 2 years, you have to see a pediatrician. So with persistent toe walking after 2 years, we worry about it. Not walking after 18 months, we worry about it. But it is perfectly normal for babies to tiptoe when they start to walk. That is normal. Funny line. What if breast milk is not enough? Breast milk is always enough. Breast milk is always enough. Unless there's something wrong with the mom, you can produce enough breast milk for your babies. The problem with us is that sometimes we believe all these rhetorics that, breast milk is not enough. It is not true. In fact, we have people that exclusively breastfeed twins. So there's no reason why a mom of one cannot exclusively breastfeed a baby. Now, I will tell you where the problem is we also have this mindset that, I cannot do it, or my breast milk is not enough, because breastfeeding is a brain thing. Okay, I always tell mothers, you produce your breast milk from your brain, not in your breast. Okay, what I'm saying is that there are hormones that regulate breastfeeding. There are hormones that produce breastfeeding. There are hormones that work against breast milk production. When you are stressed, when you have anxiety, when you think you can't do it, you are overwhelmed with so many other things, you produce what we call stress hormones. And when you produce stress hormones, the stress hormones block breast milk production, and they begin to focus on what is stressing you. They're trying to solve the fight method. That is what is going on. So when we tell moms, just rest. When you have a baby, your primary responsibility, which nobody else can do, is the breastfeeding. Everybody else can do every other thing else. They can wash the house, they can cook the food, they can do everything else for you, but you are the only person that can breastfeed the baby. So I always tell mother, relax, focus on the baby, focus on feeding your baby. Let other people help you with other things so that you don't get, stressed up and then you can breastfeed. 2, attachment to the breast is very important. Attachment is 90% breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is an art. It's something that doesn't come naturally to people. Mothers sometimes have to be taught how to breastfeed your babies, because when you breastfeed, you should not just put the nipple in the mouth of the baby. You have to put the nipple and the areola. And breast milk is a demand and supply mechanism. That's the economy of breast milk. The more demand on the breast, the more milk is produced. Now, what normally happens when people say breast milk is not enough is because we don't even put the demand on the breast milk. People start to give formula, they start to give water. You have given alternatives, and then the baby is not sucking as much breast, and then the breast actually stop being produced because the breast will not be produced if there's no demand for it. So this is the problem. So a lot of people, when babies are born, mom is tired, give formula, mom is this, that. At the end of the day, the mom is not breastfeeding. That first 1 hour is so crucial that the baby must be put to the breast. This is why we promote what we call breastfeeding hospital initiative. We want the hospital to promote mothers putting their baby to the breast in the first 1 hour of life. The baby has to suck on the breast. The milk has to be let down, and the baby must keep on sucking so that the milk production will keep on will keep on going. Otherwise, once we start giving other things, that you're actually the one stopping the breast milk production, and that is what normally happens. At the end of the day, I'm not making enough breast milk. Then we go back to the formula, and that is the end of breast milk production. So it is about making sure we get it right from the beginning. Okay, only very few instances where mothers have their own health issues, a mother who is unconscious, a mother who is on chemotherapy, a mother who is on other medication that may affect breastfeeding. That is those instances where we actually need those breast milk substitutes. Otherwise, majority of mothers, 90% of mothers, can, with the right support in place, establish breastfeeding and breastfeed their babies correctly. So please watch our breastfeeding videos. They're available on our website, on our YouTube, on our Facebook. And if you just Google as well, Global Health Media, they have an app, they have all these videos trying to tell us how to establish breastfeeding. And our hospitals, we also promoting what we call breastfeeding friendly hospital initiatives. Very important that we help mothers to get breastfeeding right, because that is still the best way to feed our babies. That's why we always talk about it, and it's always enough. All right, so let's not just fall for that beliefs that breast milk is not enough. It's enough. All right, I'll come back to Instagram. Let me go back to Facebook. Where am I? Okay. Yeah, the picky eaters. Okay, yeah, okay. Yes, if you post this question on our Facebook group, somebody will send you the links to where you can read about the skincare for babies. It's very important. Yeah. Chimeze Charity, my 3 months old baby has sucker. Who told you that? Okay. Okay. No, I always say, mothers, please don't take diagnosis by people who are not doctors, who are not health professionals. Stop taking the diagnosis. Your baby does not have any OCA. Okay? Your baby does not have any OCA. Just leave your baby alone. If you have any concern about your baby, okay, please take that baby to see a doctor. And I'm telling you, no doctor is going to make a diagnosis of OCA. So, and I'm wondering why you get a diagnosis from somebody else and you're asking another person to give you the treatment. So you would have expected that the person who gave you the diagnosis should be giving you the treatment. Anyway, I know what you meant. People always think babies have this anterior fontanelle, and when it is prominent in some babies, people begin to make all sorts of diagnoses. Let's start by saying the anterior fontanelle is a normal structure in the head of every baby. God designed it to be there so that because baby's brain are still growing, the first 5 years of life, the baby's 90% of baby's brain grew in the first 5 years of life. So that's why we need spaces in the scalp, in the skull. We need those spaces so that when the brain is growing, the head can grow. That's why baby's head gets bigger. Okay, so the anterior fontanelle is a normal structure. It is not the cause of anything. It is not a diagnosis. It's not a disease. Now, when things are going on in the body, the anterior fontanelles can change in the way it looks. So normally it is flat and it is soft. But when a baby is dehydrated, for example, or malnourished, it will become sunken. So you have what we call depressed or sunken anterior fontanelle. If a baby has problem in the brain, like infection in the brain and all that, and there's a lot of pressure, what we call raised intracranial pressure, it will become swollen. It will become, very hard, firm, and swollen. So the anterior fontanelle is reflecting what is going on in the child's body. It is not the anterior fontanelle itself that is the problem, all right? So it tells pediatrician, oh, this baby is dehydrated, oh, this baby is malnourished, or this baby is having raised intracranial pressure. So if you notice any abnormality with your baby's anterior fontanelle, whether it's swollen or whether it's sunken, you have to see a pediatrician. That is number one. If your baby has any other symptoms, baby is not eating, baby is not gaining weight, baby is failing to thrive, it has something to do with the anterior fontanelle, and that is not any OCA anything. Take that baby to the hospital and see a pediatrician. Otherwise, your baby is otherwise well, nothing is wrong with your baby. Baby is sucking well, baby is gaining weight. Just leave the anterior fontanelle alone. Don't apply anything. Don't apply oil. Don't apply anything caustic on it. You need to read my article. What's the name of the article? My baby has OCA. Yes, I have it on our website, www.askthepediatrician.com. Just type OCA into our search button and read that article. It's very important. So please don't take any so-called native diagnosis from anybody. If you have any concern with your baby, I would rather you tell me this is what I saw with my baby that I'm worried about, and then I will tell you what I think, rather than for you to tell me this is the diagnosis already. Of course, I'm not going to take that. And then, of course, and I can't even know how to advise you because I don't know what it is that they saw that make them to give you that label. But please don't take such label from people. If you have any concerns, tell us specifically what the concerns are, and then we'll answer you. Or you can just see a doctor and they will advise you. All right, maybe it'll be 6 months. He's losing interest in breast milk, blah blah blah. When your baby is 6 months, you start complementary feeding. Don't start complementary feeding on the baby 6 months. Okay, I'm not going to go into all the details, but there are reasons behind every advice that we give. There are research that backs up everything we give. So 6 months is when you will start complementary feeding at the end of the month. Okay, you got about 3 weeks to go. Just wait, all right, and start it. If you need more information on how to go about complementary feeding, please go to our website or go to our video, or you will see all the resources we have for complementary feeding. If your baby is losing interest in breast milk, please see a doctor to know why your baby is not sucking, and don't go and be giving complementary feeding until your baby is 6 months old. So there's no reason why your baby should not be sucking until 6 months, because even when you start sucking at 6 months, when you start complementary feeding, your baby still need to suck breast milk. So it's important that baby should suck. All right, Gaji, you're saying okay, is the 2-year-old that is okay with picky eating? Your 2-year-old is even overweight. The 2-year-old should be weighing 12 kilos. Your baby 2-year-old is already weighing almost 14 kilos, which is the weight of a 3-year-old. So I think it's okay for the baby to be picky so that it will not be too overweight. I'm not worried about the child, but you should be giving him solid and take away the purees. Purees is not what we want for a 2-year-old. So let him eat more solid. Okay, 2 months old, can he sleep with his tummy? No. Every baby should sleep on the back. On the back always, never on the tummy. Sudden infant death syndrome has been associated with babies sleeping on the tummy. So it is a must. Baby must sleep on the back always, never on the tummy. Please don't do tummy sleeping. They're only allowed to stay on their tummy during tummy time when they are awake, and usually for about 5 minutes. But when they are sleeping, they must sleep on their back always. That is the recommendation from Paediatrician. All right. Yinka Okebenle, will you recommend a booster dose of hepatitis B for a 10-year-old living with a father who is a carrier? You need to see the doctors. You need to see a pediatrician. We may want to check your baby's level. Usually we should have given it at 18 months and 5 years. So how old is your child? 10-year-old. So yeah, you may have to see us first. So they may want to do blood tests for the child first. We have to rule out the fact that the child is not yet infected. We have to do so many things before we start giving the boosters. So please see a pediatrician about that. Rejoice, weight was 6 kilos. Yeah, your baby losing weight is also worrying me a lot. So Rejoice, you have to see a pediatrician. Okay, the fact that baby is now, so your baby's weight is not what it should be, and now you're even telling me it was 6 before and now it has gone down. Double red flags for me, and I really think a pediatrician has to see that baby. I'm really, really worried now. The more you talk, the more I'm worried about that baby. That baby has to see one of us. Okay, my baby is skinny, 7 months old. What is the weight of your baby, Divine? That is more important. The weight is what I need, not the description. So you have to tell us the weight, and we can decide whether it's okay or not. Is Pediasure good for an 11 months old baby? Pediasure is not a mother's food for mothers to go and be giving babies. Pediasure is what a professional will recommend. For you, your 11 months old should eat normal food in your house, in your kitchen. That is what we recommend. So please don't go and start buying Pediasure. It is not like any baby food that we expect you to be feeding your baby normally. All right. So dietitians sometimes recommend it when they are in a dilemma and they want to use something and all that. But normally for 11 months old, we want your baby to be eating normal food. All right. So you have to go to the hospital, let them weigh the baby, and when they weigh the baby, they'll be able to advise you on what to do. So don't go and buy Pediasure. Let the child eat normal food, because don't run away from a problem that you're still going to face in the future, because when the child is now 1 year, 2 years, are you going to keep giving Pediasure? So we want the child to learn how to eat normally. So it's part of what we are trying to get them to do even from now on. So we don't want them to just be on liquid diets and all that. I want them to eat solid food. food that has higher texture and all that. So it's very, very important. So that is what we want. So the weight of your baby, Amanda, is important. That's what will help us to know whether what to do. We don't rely on babies looking slimmer and the baby is looking chubby. They are all subjective things. We need to know the actual weight. That's how we know what to advise on. All right, Divine. Your baby is 6 kilos, almost 6 kilos at 6 months. Really want your baby to be around 7 kilos, so not too bad. But you need to make sure you give more food. But you need to know what is the weight now. I hope the baby has not lost weight. So, but please go through all our complementary feeding videos. Go through them. Make sure your child is feeding well. Go to the hospital. Let them check the weights again. For babies less than 1 year, at least you should weigh them monthly. You can just walk in, let them have their weight check, and that will be okay. So it's not like it's so bad, but I just want to be sure it's not going lower. So I hope it is going higher, because ideally I expect it to be around 7. So 6 is not too bad, but we want it to be around 7. Yeah, I know 5.9 is almost 6. That's what I mean. I'm just approximating it to the nearest whole number. So just make sure that you're feeding well. Go through all the videos and then you can know what to do. All right, my time is up. It's 7 p.m. on the dot. I gotta go. Thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, if you still have any questions about the health of your children, you are welcome to go to our Facebook group and you can post your questions there, and myself and my colleagues will be there. We'll be able to answer your questions. On Thursday, 10 a.m., watch out for our ATP hour. ATP hour is our teaching session, and last week I started answering questions that parents were asking me about autism spectrum disorder, and the whole of April is Autism Awareness Month. So I'm going to continue, because I have so many questions. I could barely touch 10% of those questions last week. So I'm going to continue this week on Thursday and answer more questions about autism spectrum disorder. And if you have questions, I will encourage you to watch the last week video first, and also join me on Thursday 10 a.m. for the concluding. I hope it will be the concluding section of the question and answer I have on autism spectrum disorder. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful evening. Bye. Bye-bye.